This can't be happening as an insane report drops a bombshell on the Canucks' planned offseason moves involving a baffling trade which sacrifices the short term for the future of this team moving forward. We're going to be breaking down all that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first, if you're a part of the 66.8% of viewers that aren't yet subscribed and you want to stay up to date on all things Canucks, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you can stay up to date. And with that, let's hop straight into it, which is an insane Hronek report. So behind the bench won't be the only changes coming to Vancouver this summer, as Jim Rutherford promised that they will be aggressive this summer to improve their roster, which could come through a trade as they'd like to make a big splash and return to the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2026. And with this, you have GOAT Radio Podcast tweeting out that Hronek is being heavily shopped around before no move kicks in. Not surprising with Mancini's progression and what Willander brings. This is a huge trade piece for the Canucks. And this is insane. Now, a lot of people were jumping in the comments just trying to discredit it, but this is also the podcast that was one of the first ones that were running with the JT Miller trade rumors and all the drama, and they turned out to be right. So if this is one of those situations where Phil Hronek is on the trade block, this is massive because of the contract that he signed. He's only in the first year, just finished the first year of 8 with a huge number attached to that contract. And that is what the podcast kind of goes into, is how well Victor Mancini has played since arriving in Vancouver in late January throughout the Calder Cup playoffs with the Abbotsford Canucks, along with signing Tom Willander. But with this, Hronek has been a horse on the blue line for the Vancouver Canucks the last couple of seasons. His contract might scare away some teams as he's owed $7.25 million annually until the end of 2031 and 2032. This is absolutely insane, with only the few teams that could really realistically pull that off being Columbus, Carolina, and Utah. So those are 3 teams that are definitely going to be in the market to try and spend a lot of money to improve their team. But Phil Hronek coming out on the trade block only a season after signing that massive extension, with all the Quinn Hughes stuff going on, with all the signings that they're making and trying to make sure they can keep this core together to remain a competitive team. However, with the trade pieces that they have, there's not many other pieces that they have to move other than a big name like Phil Hronek, so that they can make a massive splash with that. And looking at the depth chart as well, if Victor Mancini is that guy that the Canucks think that he still is only on year 1 of 2. So then you have another extension to bring up when you already have Hronek locked down for 8 years at a hefty price tag, yes, but he has such amazing chemistry with Quinn Hughes. He's been such an asset to this team, and he's been insane. Look at that ice time at 23:54. There were some games where, especially when Quinn Hughes was hurt, he was having to play 26, 27 minutes some games. And he was still producing and putting up points. And yes, there was a lot of dysfunction with Vancouver this season, but he was one of the few aspects of the Vancouver Canucks that went right this year. He played really solid. It did take him a little bit of time to kind of get into that classic Hronek form that we saw last season. But overall, this past season, he played fairly well going into the first year of a major contract. And if the Canucks want to keep Quinn Hughes in Vancouver, that is going to be a massive part of it, because he's coming up on his contract extension. He's going into the 5th year of 6. So that's going to be something that's looming over him. You already have Marcus Pettersson locked down as well. You have D. Petey, who's going into the second last year of his upcoming contract. So with this, with all the people, and then you have Tyler Myers as well. He's not going to be around for much longer. He's 35. He's already banged up a little bit. He's going into the second last year of his contract. What more could you really want to sacrifice? Like, this is insane to be even thinking about because of what Phil Hronek is to this team. Looking at the term that he has, yes, the price tag is big and a lot of teams might not want to pay it, but the salary cap will continue to increase as time goes on. So in hindsight, some teams that are scared to do it, maybe that'll be why they can't get too much value for him, or too many buyers, I should say, trying to bid on him. But at the end of the day, as time goes on, that contract will seem like pennies in exchange for what it will be for other players. And that's the other huge thing, is if you have all these expiring contracts coming up, you got Quinn Hughes coming up with an expiry, you got DPD coming up with an expiry, you also have Tyler Myers, who's going to retirement or coming up for expiry, and then as well as Victor Mancini, who will go into the second last year of a deal. So then you have all these re-signings to make and all these decisions to make when you already have a guy locked down. Yes, if they go out and get a defender that has term, cool, go for it. But in this case scenario, Victor Mancini is the guy you should be looking to move, or Tyler Myers. I know him being a bit older, that'll be a deterrent for a lot of teams. But if you compare Tyler Myers with a draft prospect, maybe not Mancini, but you compare him with some of these other guys, Jet Wu could be another one. There's some other ones there in Abbotsford that you can send off to some teams to try and develop and exchange with a veteran player to get an established defender. Filip Hronek is not that move to make. And no matter what the fans are saying on social media, there's some fans that are baffled, me being one of them. Some are seeing it as a calculated move, with Vancouver believed to be targeting a second line center and would prefer not to move top prospects like Jonathan Lekkerimäki or Tom Willander. If they are ready for NHL duty, and if the Canucks feel that either can be leaned on, that makes Hronek, with his proven track record, a manageable cap hit and a prime trade chip. This is still something that I don't think we should be even talking about, but the fact that he is on the trade block is insane. For all the players that we were talking about being up in the air as far as free agents or even trade bait, this was one player that we thought for sure was untouchable, especially with them wanting to keep Quinn Hughes in Vancouver for a long time. That brings a lot of complications with that, especially if you're going to ship Filip Hronek out. You're going to ship his partner out and you're going to expect him to want to stay in 2 more years? Absolutely not. No matter who you bring in as that Filip Hronek replacement, Quinn Hughes is still going to have to start over from scratch with that chemistry, unless it's his brother Luke. And if that's the case, you might as well be trying to get Jack as a part of that too, because that's the only way that I can see Quinn Hughes staying in Vancouver once his contract is up, if they decide to move Filip Hronek. That is going to be huge. And if they decide to pull the trigger on this, do not expect Quinn Hughes to be in Vancouver by the end of his contract, and just get ready to see us have a new captain walk in through the door in 2 seasons. But hopefully that isn't the case. I'm on the side of, you do not trade Filip Hronek in this scenario. If there's anybody you trade Myers and a prospect, maybe not a top prospect like Willander, but trade a guy like Jet Wu or trade a guy like Christian Felton. There's some of these guys that you can kind of pawn off on another team and still try and get a decent return. Or you pawn those guys off, get someone that's middle of the road that you can still flip for greater value than those two would have got you. You flip that guy, just like we thought that they were going to do with Filip Hronek, as there was a lot of rumors that he was going to get traded again before he got hurt and shipped out of Vancouver. Circumstances changed when he got hurt, and now seems to be staying in Vancouver for a little bit longer, at least until those rumors kick up again. However, with this is a massive thing for Vancouver, where if you can trade Myers and a prospect for somebody who's a bit better than each of those guys but isn't exactly what you're looking for, but you get that guy there, and then you can trade him off for someone else one-on-one, maybe it's not a bad idea. However, I'm not a GM, I'm just some guy on the internet, but let us know what you guys have to think as well about all of this. Do you think it's absolutely insane to be thinking about the possibility of trading Filip Hronek, or do you think it kind of makes sense? I know that the fans are divided on social media. Are you one of the fans that are baffled, or do you see this as a decently smart, calculated move by the Vancouver Canucks organization? Let us know what you guys have to say down in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.